Good morning. It is 8:40 Friday morning. I've got my black Plant Panther shirt on. This is going to be the most amazing football weekend. Starting off with some high school prep ball. Plant's playing Hillsborough tonight, so that's going to be exciting. And then we go to college ball. You got the Gators and USF, which is going to be fantastic. You got Florida State going out to Oklahoma, which is going to be amazing. You got Notre Dame and Michigan. You got Penn State, Alabama. You got Ohio State and Miami. I mean, and then last night you had a great game. Now, okay, I fell asleep before the end of it, but Minnesota and the Saints pulled it. Okay, the Saints, and then Auburn pulled it out against Mississippi State. So great ball. This is a great time of year. You got to come to Buddy Brew if you want to talk football or talk sports. I got a fresh. I get the. What do I get to get the far right? What's the
Bally Blue Moon?
The Bally. This is Dave Ward, the master. You're not a brewer, although that would be a bad idea. The master roaster.
Yeah.
Master roaster here with his fresh coffee. We got a lot of great people here tonight. Al McRae's taping live. Tom Rocky, good friend, is here. Really appreciate him being here. Dave Armijo with the Hearts here, and a number of other folks. It's a great turnout. Don't know who you are, but thank you for coming.
I'm just a random guy.
Just a random guy. Random guy's here with his. What is it you're carrying there? What are you working on? What type of system? What is that? Is that the
this
Xeno?
is my March Easy set.
What's it called though? Which one is it?
Oh, it's
Is it the iPod?
It's the Evo.
Evo. Okay. Evo. It's all sorts of cool stuff. Last night I was at New Tampa, speaking at the Rotary Club. I was at the Rotary Club at Hunter's Green.
What's that?
And the presentation I gave was called The Blueprint. And a lot of people said, hey, how can I get the blueprint? I'd like to pull it, download it. We're going to be working on making sure that we can upload the blueprint. But really what it is it's about a 20-minute presentation that talks about how Florida and Hillsborough County got to the position that we are and what can we do to turn our economy around and to be more focused and to grow and create jobs. And the blueprint starts off by showing folks an overview from Google Earth of Hillsborough County. It's 1,051 square miles. 1,051 square miles in which we've got over 200,000 students, the 8th largest school district in the nation. And this large jurisdiction, we only have 230 buses trying to cover 1,051 square miles to provide adequate transit. Now in New Tampa, I had to take 275 to Barris to Bruceby Downs, and once you hit Bruceby Downs, you're going to see hundreds of millions of dollars worth of construction projects that are ongoing. They're going to take approximately 3 to 4 years to complete at this time. And it's still not going to do much to address the terrible transportation issues in New Tampa. And so the blueprint talks about really our current condition, the large size of Hillsborough County, 1.2 million people. At one point in the 1990s, we were bringing in some 26,000 people a year moving into our county. And the question is, how can our roads, our infrastructure handle all these people coming in? And they come in rapidly. And then at the same time, we're going to find a way to find adequate employment for the people that are here. Now, the challenge is this. Great companies, the businesses and companies that are going out to the West Coast, to the Northeast, to set up, those companies would come here. And some still do. But they've got workers who are saying, look, we have quality of life issues that we've got to consider before we want to relocate in Hillsborough County or Tampa. These workers are talking, they're going to look at our schools, they're going to look at our roads, they're also going to look at our bike trails and bike paths. Now, yesterday there was a tragic accident that took place in New Tampa. A 48-year-old teacher biking to work. He was biking to school, public school, was hit and killed. And it really kind of highlights the challenges that we face in Florida. Florida has got the worst rate for pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities in the nation. And Hillsborough County ranks as one of the worst in the state. Now, as I was talking about last night, it's my feeling that Florida ought to be the best in the nation. We're the sunshine state. We ought to be the state where people can come and bike and walk and ride and safely. but we've always kind of discouraged bike riding because the way we've grown a horizontal growth pattern. We don't grow vertically, we grow out. And so as we have all these new developments, subdivisions way out, which creates the sprawl mentality, we've got tributaries, the roads that support the suburbs, that take you into the main arteries that are overwhelmed by the traffic. We've not invested in bike paths or bike trails or walking paths. We really don't. We discourage people from walking. And so what we've created is an environment where you literally have to drive your car. And then when the traffic is just so bad, you can't drive your car. And so what we want to be able to do is to make things better for those who live in the suburbs, to be able to ride the roads, but at the same time, begin to encourage a new development pattern along main arteries. And that's really what the blueprint talks about, is a focused approach to growing Florida. I think it's interesting, you know, if you hire a coach and you say you're in charge of a football team and you ask him what his game plan is, he says, well, I really don't have a game plan. We just kind of go out there and wing it. He'd be fired. He wouldn't last a day. But for some reason, when we talk about government, we seem to think that the laissez-faire approach, we don't really plan, we just kind of wing it, is the best approach. And I've always thought that, you know, coming from the military, where I spent 20 years in the military, that planning is important. That doesn't mean you always follow the plan, but you need to have a plan. And so we need to have a plan for how we're going to grow Florida. We're 18 million people. By 2060, the expectations are that the population is going to double. So we're going to go from 18 to 36 million people in the state. Now let me ask you, as we drive the streets today, as crowded as they are, how are things going to improve if we don't put and invest in infrastructure? How are we going? I got a lot of people posting comments as I'm talking now. I want you to continue posting comments. How are we going to grow? How are we going to deal with traffic? If today it's already congested, what is our plan? Are we going to continue to rely on property taxes as the main source of income that the government will use to deal with transportation? Or will we find a new broad-based way of dealing with transportation needs? And that's really the whole discussion about the referendum, which is where you, the people, get to decide how we're going to deal with one of the most important issues that we have here in Florida, which is transportation issues. Once we can solve and address the transportation challenges, what we're going to find is that the businesses that we want to attract, the high-tech, high-wage businesses, will want to come here. You know, I'm throwing a lot of facts out at you, but you know, it's also important to realize that Florida has approximately 80 million visitors a year who come to our state. They pay our taxes. They're the tourists who come here, who go to Disney World, Orlando, they go to St. Augustine and Jacksonville, they go down to South Florida, Miami, enjoy the beaches. They come to Tampa, Hillsborough County, they go to our beaches in St. Pete, they go to Busch Gardens. You know, they're the ones that come here, but they're not going to come here if we don't have a transportation system in place that can move you around. And ultimately, the goal will be that you can fly in any airport or drive in, and then from there, if you so desire, be able to move around without having to rely on your car. And that's good for us, the rest of us who live here, because we're going to have less people crowding our roads. The idea is that we find alternative avenues for people to move around so that those of us who want to drive our car can continue to drive our car without getting stuck in congestion. And that's how we're going to be able to move people. That's how we're going to be able to improve our quality of life, making sure that as we build new roads, we're also building the paths, the bike paths, and making sure that our streets are, you can cross them, that they're safe. And then as you do that, you're going to find companies want to come here, and that's going to basically how we're turning things around. We got, how much time we have here, Jordan? We've got 2 minutes. What we're going to be doing every Friday, and I encourage you to come, I encourage you to watch online, I encourage you to post your comments, is talking about basically how we're going to change the state. And we're going to be inviting folks to come in and we'll have guests from the county government, from state government, from the business community, people who don't agree with me at all and want to argue every point. We're going to invite them in as well. And the whole goal is to discuss and talk and debate how we're going to really make this a great state. A low-tax state, a state where you can come here and afford to live and not get taxed out of your home, but at the same time make sure that we have this quality services that can improve our quality of life. But let's close with football. We got some great football. I would encourage you to come here to Buddy Brew and juice up with some good coffee. we're packed. Get some good hot coffee. They roast their beans every day. and they're fresh and ready to go. And just have a great, safe weekend. We'll see you next Friday.
Thank you, Mark Sharp.